Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Garage Talk Sports. I'm Mills.
I'm Bobby.
And I'm Nick.
And we are back again, guys, in the garage, bringing another episode to you. This is our Thanksgiving special, if you will.
Yeah, brought to you on Blackout Wednesday.
Yeah, brought to you on Blackout Wednesday. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody who's listening. I hope you guys have a good time with family, eat some good food. But we got a good episode for you. As always, we lead with our hot spots, but we're going to cover some college football. Massive upset happened, unfortunately, for a team. Maybe the Garage Talk curse is back. We've been singing this team's praises and finally caught up.
Yep.
So we'll go into some of the college football stuff. This shakes up how the college football playoff is looking in terms of some other scenarios, etc. We'll dive into it in the show. And then we'll go with some NFL talk, some quarterback controversies going on. There's just always good news going on when it comes to football season. So we'll talk about that. And then, as always, we follow and wrap it up with our Bears talk of the week and Nick's question of the week. So we'll go ahead, kick it off with our hot spots. Bobby, I'm going to just hand it off to you. I know you have some. You're a little hyped about this guy you want to talk about. So.
Oh, yeah. So I was watching the USC-UCLA game. Amazing game. It was just a shootout the whole entire game. I think Caleb Williams had like 500 yards of total offense. It was it was insane.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, if that says anything, maybe that gives him a little bit of a boost in the Heisman voting. But we'll see. It's good to see another good quarterback at USC. It's been a while. Sam Darnold was the last.
They usually don't turn out well in the NFL, but they have a good couple of years in college.
Hey, Carson Palmer.
Carson Palmer was solid.
Yeah, that's like the
He's
biggest.
the last one.
Yeah, he's the last one.
If you count Mark Sanchez's very short-lived success with the Jets, that's another one.
Before the
butt fumble. Before
Which was on
everything.
Thanksgiving, right? Wasn't it?
I mean,
I don't remember if it was on
know.
Thanksgiving, but fun fact, I think Mark Sanchez is he has the most playoff wins against Tom Brady, I believe.
oh wow,
Out of all quarterbacks is Mark Sanchez.
Wow. I would not have.
Yeah, they met in the playoffs for like 4 straight years and split 2-2 each time.
Wow.
I could be wrong, but he's got some wild stat against the Tom Brady Patriots when it came to the postseason. For whatever reason, Mark Sanchez was just the guy who could do it.
Yeah,
the only
thorn in
guy
his
who-
side.
He was exactly. They all have one.
But
They all have one.
my hotspot is Jordan Addison. He is a dog, man. He needs to be the number one receiver off the board. Any team that gets him.
What are his measurables, Bobby? Is he
What
a
is
big
me-
guy? Is he a slot guy?
He's like medium size. I think he's like 6 foot. I want to say 5'11". But dude, he's just
Speed.
athletic. Yeah, speedy, athletic.
Good hands, soft hands.
Yeah, good hands, man. Good hands. But
All state.
What's the catch radius? What are we talking about catch radius wise? Give me inches. How many? 14, 15, 16, 17 inches?
definitely way bigger than Kenny Pickett's hands.
Well, of course.
Yeah,
Everyone's got bigger
we're-
hands than Kenny Pickett.
So we're good there.
Little baby
But,
hands.
Dude, he had 11 catches for 178 yards.
He popped off.
Yeah, he popped off. Hey, that says anything about
Good
the guy?
for him. Good for him. Shout out to Jordan Addison for
Big.
you've played your way into Bobby's number one wide receiving
He did.
prospect. So
It
hey,
did. And I mean, he had a great year at Pitt last year, transferred to USC. He's having an even better year this year. I think it's just cementing him as the number one receiver off the board.
well, good for him.
Yeah.
We'll be sure to cover that more when draft season comes up. You guys know we like to dive into the draft, so we'll cover that more when the time comes. But I'll go next. Just want to talk Thanksgiving football. Thanksgiving's coming up tomorrow. We got 3 games. And I don't know, to me, when it comes to Thanksgiving, I don't want to do anything other than sit on the couch and watch the football games.
Yeah.
I care more about that than eating the food. That's just my thing.
You're wrong.
Well, it's just
It's a pairing.
Yeah,
it's
you got it.
fair. It's a pairing, but I just know I just want to sit there and I don't want to have to get up unless I'm getting myself something to drink, and I just want to watch the football games, even if they suck.
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter.
Even if they suck, I'll tell you what, I'm excited to see what the halftime show is for the Detroit Lions game, because last time I was able to watch the halftime show, they had Jason Derulo, and I'll tell you what, interesting guy to be there when everyone they had go on the infield to dance and everything was like these white boomers who are like 50, 60 years old. I'm like, this is the crowd we put out there for Jason Derulo? What is that?
He plays for all people.
No, I know. It was just
He's a crowd pleaser.
it was
He's a
just
crowd
funny
pleaser.
because I'm like, I know a lot of these people don't listen to Jason Derulo. You could just see all the old dudes who are just they're like, this isn't.
They're like, how did I get out here?
This isn't Metallica. This isn't Led Zeppelin. Where's the Def Leppard? All that stuff. But No, I'm just excited for Thanksgiving football. It goes together so well. It's the only Thursday football games that I actually enjoy.
Yeah, that's true.
I will die on the hill of football games don't have to be good when there's food also involved in it. So Thursday, you're eating for at least 2 of the 3 games, and you're probably in a turkey coma for the last games. You really don't care if it's bad. The only one that's questionable is the Super Bowl. Because sometimes Super Bowl sucks and it's not fun to watch, but you're still eating a ton of food. So you're having
if you're doing it right, you're throwing a solid Super Bowl party.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
like on a random Thursday, if you're not eating food, you're like, wow, this game is the Broncos game where they didn't score a single touchdown. You're like, this was a waste of a night.
Yeah.
But if you're just chowing down on good food all Thursday, doesn't matter.
No.
Plus, I think the players play harder on Thanksgiving Thursday for football.
Yeah, they want that
I'm not saying
turkey.
they don't play hard on regular Thursday night football, but it's like there's an added level of like excitement for it.
You want that turkey leg.
You want the turkey leg.
Well,
you
that's-
want the turkey
It's
leg.
like
Exactly.
the NBA on Christmas Day. Like it's just another game, but just because of the day it's on, it like builds up a little more hype. So you show up to the stadium and you're just like, you're ready to go before
Yeah.
you even touch the
Yeah.
field.
Now, question for you guys. What do you guys think about Friday game on Black Friday?
No.
No? There are talks of doing it.
It's too much. No, you're over at that point. You're overdoing it. I think. Stick with your 3 games on Thanksgiving. You got the whole day locked down from 11:30 until whenever the Thursday.
7:20.
Yeah, well, whenever that game ends.
Yeah.
So that which usually is going to end around 10:30.
Yeah.
Depending on your time
To
zone,
me,
of
it's
course.
just like I'm not going to add a Friday game when it like they never have football on Friday. Like
No, but I mean, everyone's off. I mean, it would be cool to get Thursday, Friday, and then college football on Saturday, and then boom, Sunday.
I hear you, but I just think you're probably overdoing it at that point. Leave it to just, you got a good thing going with the Thanksgiving Day football. Like the NFL has taken over. Honestly, the NFL has taken over that holiday.
Yeah, it really has.
Thanksgiving, I feel like a lot of sports fans in general associate football with Thanksgiving more than a lot of other things.
Like, that's the only thing I care about.
and NBA doesn't even play anymore because they lost so many.
Yeah,
No
the
one ever
NBA
watched
gets
any
Christmas
NBA.
Day. That's
Yeah.
the thing. The NBA gets Christmas Day. That's their thing. It's a cool thing. I like that every sport should try and have that holiday. That's like, well, I guess it doesn't work
But
as well for summer sports.
Isn't Christmas Day on a Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're
So
on football
NFL
and
gets
basketball
Christmas.
on Christmas Day this year.
But, ooh, are they playing? Ooh,
I think so.
Yeah, there's Christmas Day games.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. NBA is going to lose some viewership. Then
Yeah.
that's tough.
Yeah,
I don't feel
but
bad.
not as much as Thanksgiving because they don't do anything special. Like for Thanksgiving or for Christmas Day, the Christmas jerseys and all that. So like,
yeah,
there's a
they hype
spectacle
up the
about it.
Christmas Day
Yeah.
games. They really
Yeah.
do.
And they always put good teams. It's so like because it used to be Lakers versus Heat. When it
Yeah,
was Dwayne Wade versus Kobe, and then it was the Bulls and LeBron would always play because they were always heated
Yeah.
in the Eastern Conference.
and then Golden State and
then it was Golden State and Cleveland.
yeah.
Or
So
it would be the Clippers versus it would be the 2 LA teams against each
yeah.
other.
So I mean, they got some good slates, but the sporting industry is dominated by football in this country.
Yeah,
That's true.
We notice how we haven't even mentioned the World Cup.
well
World,
because it's soccer.
yeah. All right, I see all these things, right? Because the World Cup's happening, so all those non-American sports people are like, oh, the U.S. doesn't stand a chance, blah blah blah, which obviously they do or they don't. But do you believe that if the U.S. took soccer as seriously as other countries do, that they could put the best soccer team out there for the World Cup?
I think so. I just feel like everyone else's main focus is just other sports here.
Yeah.
So it's like-
so you're saying, so like if because the main sport in the U.S. is football.
Yeah.
Kids are trying to become professional football players, not professional soccer players or football, whatever you want to get into for the viewers. But so if like the focus was to become a pro soccer player in this country, do you think that they would build the best national soccer team in the world?
I think it could
I would say
definitely
no.
Ooh.
For the simple fact that football is very hard to play if you don't have the equipment for it. Basketball is also pretty difficult to play. Baseball, not as hard, but still difficult. Soccer, not really. Soccer, you just need the ball and that's it. And you can develop skills and you can develop that. And with all these countries developing so well around soccer, they have soccer stadiums. Like, you're not going to go to some smaller places in like South America and stuff and find basketball courts just out. But there's soccer fields everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
There's always soccer fields. So
I
it's
feel
very
like
it's a-
basketball courts probably exist.
Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, I'm saying they exist, but not as much because it's like, well, then we have to put down the concrete or whatever we're playing on, and then the poles and the ball,
Yeah.
and we have to whereas soccer, they can just put a field out there and just have a ball and that's it. So I think, yeah, it would close the gap Like if people focused on soccer and like that was the main sport,
Mhm.
we would be competitive. But I don't think it's going to be like we're going to have the most elite athletes because all these other countries have the ability to.
I hear you, but I do believe that the best athletes in the world tend to come from the U.S. That's just, if you look at it from an Olympic standpoint, really, the U.S. usually gets the most medals. But my point is, like, if you look at all of the world's elite athletes that are American athletes, so if we go LeBron James for an example, just like out of this world talented, like physically gifted, etc. If all of those kids, they're growing up wanting to become a pro basketball player, football player, baseball player, even. But like if all those kids, their focus was to become a professional soccer player, I think that just the sheer, it's basic. Like the math is there. The amount of people that live in the U.S. compared to other countries, the odds of that top talent, if they pursued soccer, becoming top talent like in the soccer world, we have way more people, a way larger pool of players to pull from at that point. So I do think that if, the U.S., if soccer was respected more in the U.S., which it's not, and I don't care, I couldn't give a damn about soccer, but if it was respected more in the U.S., in like a lot of the top like athletes that are like kids and teenagers pursued soccer, I do believe the U.S. could end up being one of the best national teams. But just no one cares about soccer. At the end of the day, kids don't want to go pro in soccer coming from America. They want to go pro in the NFL. They want to go pro in basketball, baseball, hockey, even over soccer, really. It's just, soccer is not a respected sport in the U.S. And I don't care. True. I don't like soccer personally. I try to watch it and it's boring.
There was a huge upset. Saudi Arabia beat Argentina 2-1. Huge upset.
Oh wow!
It was like probably, I think it was like the most, like they were like positive 2,500 to win it.
Dang.
And I think it was like the most in like the last like 20 years, I want to say.
Well, yeah, that's
like
a big one. Argentina was in the like World Cup finals a couple World Cups ago. They're good.
Which is like just crazy.
And then I do know Qatar lost their opening match, making them the first host country to lose their opening match in World Cup history. So
again, if America held it a couple of years ago, that would have been the same thing.
Yeah, I mean,
because you
America didn't even make it didn't even qualify for the last World Cup.
If you host, you automatically qualify. So Qatar didn't even have to really win; they're just still in. So
which there's also a lot of controversy about
with the host country, but we don't want to get into that.
No. Yeah,
I'll go ahead. I'll hand it off to Nick. Nick, go ahead and get your hot spot in before we go and move into our college football.
I won't talk much about my hot spot because we'll talk about it later in the show. But I am so sick of I'm not a big NFL guy. I'm focused more on basketball. But it's so stupid watching one team lose or having a game struggle, and it's like boom, like let the floodgates run. Like clearly this team sucks. Like Eagles lose and then they barely beat Indianapolis, and now everyone's saying like all the games that they won are fluky games that they won. It's like, no, the Colts at the start of the year were supposed to be a good team.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I still don't like Nick Sirianni coming out and yelling about, that's for Frank Reich or whatever. Clearly he wasn't the right coach because Jeff Saturday has turned around the team without having any coaching knowledge.
That was his boy though, yeah.
So Frank Reich maybe should have been let go. But same thing with people are saying that the Vikings are flukes because, they lost so bad. The Cowboys are still a good team.
Yeah, they are.
And look at the other team is in the division in the NFC North. The Bears suck, the Packers suck, and the Lions suck, which means the Vikings aren't flukes. They're winning.
Oh yeah, honestly, I would say I think the Vikings honestly could just lose one more game after this. I think they're gonna go have 3 losses. That's it.
Yeah,
and they're gonna definitely go to the playoffs. They're gonna excel.
Yeah, and then same thing with even looking at teams that aren't even that good this year. Like Bears fans are calling for Luke Getsy to be fired, and other people are because they had a bad drive and they lost to the Falcons. Like they're not a good team. They're not a good offense. They have Justin Fields who still isn't 100% there because he's running way too much. He has a good arm. He should be throwing the ball, but it's just so stupid.
Yeah, the NFL community is getting a bit much.
It's very reactionary. Like
yes,
you have to be the first one to say something, and you have to be like, why? Like,
the NFL world has slowly just become more and more vultures. Like the amount of it wasn't long ago when players were given the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or the media wasn't so quick to jump on players and try and rip them or expose them, etc., whatever. But I'll tell you what, when it all shifted when the Andrew Luck retirement happened during that preseason game. Ian Rappaport, he crossed the line. He crossed the line when it came to just like respect and knowing where to stop when it comes to like breaking news and being the first one to get something out there. That shifted the media landscape for the NFL, which is where all these overreactions come from now.
Yep.
Is because now everyone just wants to be the first one to say it, and they want to get it out quick. And that's all it's about now is there's no respect for players. And I get really frustrated because, I'm a fan of Peter Schrager on Good Morning Football, and he was on Pardon My Take with Big Cat and them. He was talking about how, they were trying to rip what's his face, Matt Nagy. And I'm not a Matt Nagy fan, but like so many times they just disassociate the human behind the coach or the player. And they're just like, no, F that guy. He's an asshole, blah, blah, blah. And then Peter Schrager's there. He's like, well, you have to understand, yes, he wasn't a great coach, but man, he's a good person. Like everyone just wants to put down the player or the coach, and they're not really respecting the fact that these people have a family that gets impacted by all this stuff. I mean, Matt Nagy's kids are getting booed in high school because his dad isn't a good head coach.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff. And that's where the media and these overreactions it's led to all of that. It's really frustrating.
Well, now it's like in a year from now, like everyone's like, well, remember when the Eagles were really good? I want to be the first one that said they were going to blow up. Where it's like, even if we go back to last year, when
I think I got that on lock.
When I said the Cardinals weren't as good as I thought they were, I thought they were just playing better than they were expecting. Everyone was high on them. I wasn't saying that they're a trash team, and as soon as they lost their first game, I'm like, they're garbage.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm like, I see the Cardinals not playing. They're playing above expectations. It's the same thing with already they're writing off the Robert Quinn trade, that it was a stupid trade for the Eagles, and it didn't help them at all. Well, if you go back and say Robert Quinn's still on the Bears, the Eagles didn't get any better because they traded 2 draft picks who are still in college. So it's like, it wouldn't have changed anything. There's no way the Eagles are worse off by having Robert Quinn on their pass rush.
That's true.
He's still trying to learn the defense and learn how the guys play. And to be fair, when he was on the Bears, he had no pressure because they were going to suck anyway.
Right.
So Robert Quinn's like, if I get 17 sacks or 1 sack, it's not really going to change the outcome of the season. Where now he's like, oh, if I don't play very well, we might lose a game that we should win.
But honestly, it's good for teams like that to take losses and have tough games like midway through the season, because like you don't want like to be like having no pressure until you get to playoffs, and then that's when it falls apart. You want to like,
are we talking the Eagles getting that first loss?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
Like-
better to get it's better to get that tough loss out of the way earlier.
Yeah. Now you know like how to bounce back from it. You know you don't want to feel that again, and they're gonna figure things out. And like I said, the Jeff Saturday hiring, I think it was probably the right move, because it seems like he is getting that team going. Like he was the spark that they needed.
Well, I've always thought the Colts were just colossal underachievers this whole season.
Yeah.
I mean, I was including them in the conversation to win the AFC South. Really, I was. I didn't expect them to be so terrible.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like in that division, outside of it's very comparable to the NFC North in that there's very little competition to win it. It seems to be a one-team race every year. So I thought the Colts were going to be able to overtake the Titans and be good. They finally addressed. I thought Matt Ryan was a solid move to try and address the quarterback position short term, and it just nothing worked out. The Jeff Saturday thing, maybe it sparked something. Sometimes that's what it takes, is like a wake-up call.
Yep.
Yeah, same thing with, John Gruden getting kicked out last year. They got so much better after that. The players didn't change. It was the same exact players around the field.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
They got arguably better this year in Vegas, and they're worse.
Yeah.
And they're
I just hate that so much is judged on like a win. Like the Eagles beat the Colts and they're getting hammered. That like we should. I don't. Everyone's expecting every NFL team, if you're the favorite, you should win by 40. If you win by 1, that means you lost the game. Well, no, it's still a win in the win column, and they try to take it away. People have to realize that these are the best of the best players in college going to the best of the best. Now, if you're playing a team that their starting quarterback, starting running back, starting wide receiver, and most of their defensive pieces are hurt, yes, that should be a blowout. But it's not Alabama versus Southern Alabama Tech, like where you're playing a super large gap. Like, talk whatever you want about Trevor Lawrence all the way down to, Justin Fields was the low man that year. All those quarterbacks are all the top 15 quarterbacks from that college year, which means it doesn't matter if you're playing the best the number one draft pick, or the Tom Brady in the 7th round. They're all good enough to be in the NFL, which means there's not really that big of a skill gap. There's like a skill gap, but not.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
You're winning the game by 1, you still won the game. It's one of the harder things to do is to win an NFL game.
Yeah, and when you're a team that's been so dominant like the Eagles, sometimes people are just like waiting to see the flaws come out, and so they jump on that. Like we were talking about, overreactions.
Yeah.
But we'll move in here talking about tough losses. Tennessee suffered an absolutely brutal one to the Gamecocks.
Yep.
Yeah, 2 losses really, but they get absolutely demolished by South Carolina. Spencer Radler, shout out him. We flamed him quite a bit on this show.
He had a great game. I'll give him credit.
Yeah, he did 6 touchdowns. What was the final score? Like 63-38 or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely brutal. You lose Hendon Hooker, who is a Heisman hopeful with this season. Tore his ACL. I mean, this is kind of it for Tennessee. Now they're a 2-loss team. No chance. You have 0 chance now to get into the college football playoff. And now you lost arguably your best offensive player. So we'll see what they do, how they kind of recover from this. You really could not afford that kind of loss. Was bad.
Like it was really
that was
bad.
tough. And that's why I mentioned the garage talk curse, because we've been singing Tennessee's praises. Oh, they're the first team in. I'm putting a 1-loss Tennessee in over a 1-loss Michigan or Ohio State. And well, thank you, Tennessee, for taking yourselves out of that conversation for us. But wow, that's a tough loss to have. Plus the injury, it just, oh man, sometimes the shit just piles up. Sometimes
we talked about this last week, and I think it goes to show that recruiting classes in the SEC are so favored, or maybe not SEC, but just are always more favored towards the offense. Like I don't think people go out for defense wise when they're trying to make their program jump that big leap, because it's like.
I think they lead. They lead with offense. That's tough because the SEC is known for its defenses.
Yeah,
but Tennessee is a great example of a terrible defense in the SEC, but lights out offense.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's like I think the priority when you're rebuilding a program. So if we use Tennessee as an example, obviously it's like we want to show our prolific offense. If our prolific offense can keep up with the rest of the top teams, now we know all we need is defense. And it's like.
Well, it's hard. It's hard for these SEC, like Georgia. Kirby Smart is a defensive mastermind.
Yes.
So if you're a cornerback and you're a top 5 recruit, you're going to play against the same guys if you're playing for Tennessee or Georgia. But you're probably getting better coaching from Kirby Smart. And you're going to get more notice because you're good. So Tennessee's thinking, well, maybe we can sneak in and get some of these offensive guys. Now we can prove that we have a winning record. Now some of these defensive guys are like, hey, I can beat Georgia and prove that I'm better than that. But I think it just takes more time.
Yeah, it does.
So Tennessee even up 63 points. Georgia's never going to give up 63 points, but if they give up 63 points in a game, they're probably losing.
Yeah.
So it's just.
Yeah, that's it. This was an overall very difficult loss to have for many reasons, but.
And we all wanted to see Tennessee in there.
We were rooting for Tennessee, but something that kind of just got overlooked because of how prolific their offense was is that their defense is actually atrocious.
Yeah,
literally, it's like the worst. I think their pass defense is literally the second worst in college football. Total, not SEC, college football. They're like that's bad.
Yeah,
and so they got exposed in the Georgia game. I thought that game, even though it wasn't 63 points, that was still a game where teams showed the weaknesses. This is how you beat Tennessee, right? Yeah. You figured out Georgia showed how you can negate their offense, and then they showed you what to attack on the defense. This is what you want to beat them. This is their defense. They've got a bad secondary, not a great front seven. You can pick them apart really, because if you can get your O-line to hold up, you're buying yourself all kinds of time, and these cornerbacks, these DBs just aren't going to hold up.
Yep.
And it kind of started to unravel for Tennessee after that. And this was the culmination of it. That's the thing that sucks when you're a team that's overachieving is once a team comes around and points out how to beat you, the other teams will follow really quick. It's a copycat league. And 63 points speaks for itself.
Yeah,
Tennessee obviously knows what they need to address going forward, and that's defense.
Yeah. I think it's weird too if we look at the schedule. Like we talked about it, Tennessee's had one of the hardest schedules. But I might go on a limb here. This might have been one of the most quick pace run and gun offenses that they played all year. They beat Florida, but Florida's kind of a mid-tiered offense and defensive team.
Mm-hmm.
So Tennessee's offense overpowers their defense, and now their offense has to be throwing the ball. Same thing with Kentucky. As soon as they jumped out ahead, Kentucky was more run-heavy, kind of shorter pass game. Well, you can just play prevent defense, and you know your offense is going to score fast.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia, the defense stopped them. Their defense really didn't give up much points against Georgia. Georgia's offense is not as high-powered better players, but
Yeah.
Carolina's a running gun. South Carolina's a running gun offense. And it showed they score 38 points as Tennessee. You think you can win your game.
Yeah.
But you give up 63. That's the best offense they've played all year. And South Carolina's not even that good. So it just shows like the difference of what teams can go up against.
Yeah. See, that's the thing is like Georgia's offense is they're known for their run game.
Yeah.
Establishing the run and then building a pass game off of that. So Tennessee just got really exposed. I don't know how else to say it. Their weaknesses were highlighted quite dramatically in this game. So tough one. It shakes up things like I said, they were kind of our first team in when it came to the college football playoff. So now that they're out, your top four haven't changed in any order. TCU or Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU. That's still your four.
And then this weekend, Michigan and Ohio
State play. So one of those two teams is going to have a loss.
Mm-hmm.
So now on the outside looking in, you have USC at number 5, LSU at 6, Clemson at 7. And we're in a weird spot because I can't say as confidently that one loss USC is better than one loss Ohio State or Michigan.
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, I will say that none of the top four teams had very impressive wins this weekend.
No, they did not.
Georgia didn't look great, but they're still the number one team.
Yeah.
There's no debating that. Ohio State, honestly, if Tua's brother, I don't know how to say Tua's brother's first. Tualia.
Mm.
If he doesn't fumble on that last drive for Maryland, they could march down the field, send it to OT, or possibly win. Right? So they let Maryland hang in Ohio State. Michigan lets U of I hang in for the entire game up until the last 9 seconds.
On top of losing Blake Corum.
That's a huge loss for their offense as well.
It really depends. Like, if Ohio State or Michigan blows out the other, I think USC gets in.
Yeah, if that game's a blowout, 100%, I'm putting in USC over the team that just got blown out.
Yeah.
Because
you have to.
Yeah, like USC's offense is very high powered. You're going to get a lot of points. They're going to be able to compete. And with the loss of Blake Corum, especially, they don't know if he's going to play this week or not. That really affects Michigan. Like, yeah, I don't know how they're going to be able
losing Blake Corum that's a big part of how U of I was able to stay in the game, to be honest, because that took away the run game. And the thing that's so frustrating, if you're a Michigan fan, like what would be so frustrating to me is that, there's your coach, Jim Harbaugh, right? Former professional quarterback. His big thing in the NFL was he helped Alex Smith turn around his career, and then Colin Kaepernick had a pretty solid however many years with him before everything fell apart there. So it's like, you would think that Jim Harbaugh, who's known for his quarterbacking ability and coaching quarterbacks, would be able to find a legit quarterback talent. But Michigan just it's similar to Georgia in that they never really just throw in a surefire recruit to be their quarterback. They find someone, and hopefully he does good enough. Luckily, Georgia's had guys that stepped up and became really solid. But like Justin Fields was probably the biggest recruit that they had, and he didn't even play for them in Georgia.
Yeah,
and then you have Michigan. What are we talking? Shea Patterson's the best quarterback you've pulled into your program.
I think so.
Yeah,
it just is. It's one of those things where if Michigan could get a quarterback, a lot of my questions about how legitimate they are as a top 5, top 4 team in the country, that starts to go away. Yeah. Because once you have a legitimate quarterback that like you believe can lead you down and win you a game, it's so much easier to back them as a top 4 team.
Yeah.
That's why right now, I'm honestly convinced that's why Ohio State stays above Michigan in the rankings. Is just because CJ Stroud is there, and we know CJ Stroud is a stud.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the Michigan quarterback's name.
JJ McCarthy.
There you go.
Yeah. But
sorry, he's no CJ Stroud.
But finally, so what Harbaugh loves to do is go and get these like graduate student quarterbacks who's like 5th year playing football. But finally, JJ McCarthy, I think he might be a sophomore, but
he's a sophomore.
Yeah. it's like you're finally learning like these guys are not panning out. Like
Yes,
you need
that's
to
the
go
thing. You
and
needed to
recruit.
get someone.
Yeah. And you need to get someone who has talent and who could actually do it instead of these transfers who've been moving from college to college. And this is like their last shot. Like,
And you also, what you need to do, another reason you can't get any of these quarterbacks is because you don't beat good teams.
yeah.
You lose to Ohio State almost every year. You get blown out by Georgia in the college football playoff last year.
Yeah.
It's like every time it's time for Michigan to like prove themselves against the teams that everyone thinks is better than them, it's not, they don't look good.
Yep.
I mean, you have a losing record against Michigan State, losing record against Ohio State, losing record against top 15 teams. You got to start winning these games more consistently if you want to bring in a top quarterback.
Yeah.
And that's what you need, really. That like you can build a run game. You always have a solid defense. You can't answer the quarterback position and you're a quarterback guy.
Yeah.
That's the frustrating part for Michigan
That's true.
fans.
My whole thing is USC has to be Ohio State fans this week because I think if Michigan beats Ohio State, then USC is still the second team in.
Yeah, the committee will
Because
definitely keep Ohio State.
Ohio State has
Unless it's a
thing.
blowout, like Bobby said. If that game's a blowout, Michigan
Yeah,
wins.
but that's
like,
the whole thing. If Michigan wins, it's not going to be a blowout.
yeah.
Yeah. It's,
I mean, you look at that U of I game, even if Michigan played perfectly, it probably still would have been a 10, 15-point game because
Yeah.
they both are run-heavy offenses. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
But USC, I think you have to look at the same way is I don't know how much better USC is than Tennessee. They don't play good defensive teams, and they don't really like you really can't see their they gave up so many points and so many points. So it's like if USC plays South Carolina, maybe it's 100 to 90 something. Like we have no idea what the score is going to be. So it's
You got a basketball score in there.
Yeah, bro.
if Michigan wins, then Michigan gets put probably 2. If TCU wins out, they're probably 3. So now you have Michigan, TCU. The committee's going to be fine with that game because it's not going to be like a crazy blowout. And Ohio State versus Georgia also isn't going to be a blowout. So they're going to be like, I'd rather ride with that than put USC against Georgia and then watch USC drop 7 points and Georgia's going to win 35-7. And you're just going to be like,
Yeah,
This is not a fun
the
game to
biggest
watch.
holdback for USC is the defensive side of the ball.
it really is.
Because
And-
their defense is giving up points to teams that are less competitive than these top 4.
Yeah.
That's the issue right
That-
now.
that-
That's going to be what holds USC back. That's why, Nick, I think you're right. You have to be an Ohio State fan. If you want USC in, you need to be an Ohio State fan. Because one, you have the offensive firepower to match up on paper against Michigan. So now the committee can look at it and go, okay, well, the better offense is USC.
yeah.
So we can justify it there, but I can't say like with 100% certainty that USC's offense is better than Ohio State's.
Yeah.
And so you need to be rooting for Ohio State because you're not getting in over a one-loss Ohio State. You'll get in over a one-loss Michigan because one-loss Michigan, I just don't think they're there in terms of talent. Like the talent pool is similar between USC and Michigan.
Recency bias of one-loss Michigan is going to be matched up with Georgia. And they're like, well, we just had this last year. The team got slightly worse and your running back isn't 100%.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, what's the point of doing
Yeah.
this? Are we going to really do this again?
USC's road in is if Michigan loses. That's the thing. Michigan's got to lose. I don't think like I said, USC
Yeah.
probably doesn't get in over Ohio State if they're both one loss at the end of the year.
Where do we draw? This is going to be throwing a weird thing, but where do we draw the line if TCU loses this week and Michigan loses? Are we saying LSU should be in the top 4?
No.
No, if both of those teams lose,
Michigan's in.
Michigan stays, TCU is out, and USC is in at 4.
Yeah.
If,
But-
if it's a
But even if it's like, because of my whole thing is like, if Ohio State blows out Michigan and proves that Michigan
Well, if
doesn't
Ohio-
belong in that, again, LSU has 2 losses, but they have also beat Alabama, and they've had a harder schedule than Ohio State, TCU, USC. Michigan.
straight up a 2-loss team's not getting put in there.
No, they
that
won't.
just isn't going to happen.
Yeah. It's
The committee won't do it on principle. They won't. So here's the thing: TCU, they are facing Iowa State this weekend.
That should be a lock to win.
Should be a win. If they lose that game, they're out.
Yeah.
I think TCU is like. I think the committee is like really doesn't want TCU to make it in. I think they're nervous that that's going to be a Cincinnati like
situation,
thing
yeah.
that could happen, and that might not be the case. It's just 12. It's tough with the Big 12. It's a question mark through and through.
I'm more happy with TCU than Cincinnati. I was glad Cincinnati made
I
they're
think
undefeated.
TCU's got better talent.
Cincinnati
they're bigger
should have made it.
Yeah.
But you knew that was going to happen.
Yeah,
because
you
they're
knew
playing
Cincinnati
Alabama.
was. I mean, to be fair though, honestly, the bigger blowout was the Michigan and Georgia game.
It was.
That was the bigger one.
But when you have your O-line matching up with their D-line and Cincinnati's D-line guys are like giving up 50 pounds, it's like,
yeah, that's tough.
you're going to dominate the front four. And that's
Yeah,
really what wins games.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Right. So if TCU and Michigan both lose, Michigan most likely stays in because they lost to Ohio State at least, and TCU would have lost to an unranked opponent. And then TCU probably pops out, USC goes in.
It's true, but USC has a tough match. They got to face Notre Dame this game.
are there any other one-loss teams in like the top 12?
Clemson?
Clemson's
a
but
one-loss.
yeah, they lost to Notre Dame.
So, but like the same thing. Let's say Michigan loses and TCU loses. Clemson's behind LSU right now. So if LSU wins out, why wasn't Clemson always ahead of LSU? So that's where the committee confuses me. That's why I've always been confused by college rankings, because technically right now, if on principle you're not going to put a 2-loss team in, then the ranking should go undefeated, all 1-loss teams in the top 25. Because like say U of I only lost to Michigan, they should be ranked in the top 6 because everyone else has 2 losses. That's where I think a 2-loss team should make it as long as their resume is good.
Well,
Enough.
I just don't think they would do it.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
So, in my mind, you have LSU ahead of Clemson.
Well,
No,
so
it shouldn't
I
be.
pulled up the college football playoffs, the committee's top 10, not the Associated Press. So they have LSU at 5, and USC is at 6.
Wow.
So that tells you what they think between those two teams. So that is actually something to consider. Now, I find it difficult to justify a 2-loss team in. I get where you're coming from, Nick, and I'm not disagreeing with you.
I'm not saying that they should. I was just saying, like you said, principle-wise, 2-loss team can't make it. So then I look at the top 25, and if I would shake it up and say it's Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU, then USC, because I think USC is the best 1-loss team.
Mm-hmm.
Then Clemson. And then after Clemson, Coastal Carolina should be ranked then. If you're going to say that a 2-loss team can't make it on principle, then
I don't
Then a
know.
one-
Nick,
loss
that
team.
is hot. That's scalding. That's
I'm just
white
saying.
hot right
Well,
there.
then LSU makes it over Michigan.
Why Coastal?
Because
Where's Coastal
they're the
Carolina?
only other 1-loss team in the top 25.
They're 9-1.
Yeah, but you also have to look at their schedule in the.
It doesn't matter. On principle, a 2-loss team can't make it. That means a 1-loss team has to be ranked higher.
Okay, see now you're doing this now. This is the game we're playing. I see what you're doing.
Who has
Okay.
Michigan played? No one.
Penn State. They beat Penn State.
They
Okay,
beat
so they've
Penn
had
State.
one. They've had one solid win.
I don't know their whole schedule. I could pull it up real quick.
They've had
but-
one solid win. LSU has beat Alabama, which consensus Alabama is a top. Apparently, they're better than a lot of other teams even with 2 losses.
Here's the thing. So they're probably going to play Georgia for the championship. So
Oh,
yeah.
that's true. I forgot.
They're-
Also, to your point about Michigan, they've only faced one ranked team this season, and it was Penn State. So there
Yeah.
you go.
yeah,
Go on, go on, yeah.
LSU will have 3 losses, so then they'd be sure out.
yeah, they're
But if they beat
Possibly
Georgia,
have 3 losses.
if they beat Georgia as a 2-loss team, I understand what you're saying. It's
Then,
on
yeah,
principle,
then I'll
but-
give you that.
then yes, they're
then
gonna
that
be
gets
in it.
crazy. Then it's you the optics shift again,
But
to
again-
where you kind of have to put them in. but-
Again, the committee needs to come out and say you have to have, that was RPI was the biggest thing that they added to college basketball because some people didn't understand how the top 70 made it into the tournament in March Madness. And that's 70 teams. And people were complaining about the last 10. But it was, hey, your RPI, your strength of schedule is this. So you can have this many losses and still be ranked ahead of undefeated teams. This college football rankings makes no sense.
It doesn't
Because if you're going to say LSU with 2 losses, say they don't play
It's-
Georgia,
yeah, that's
or say they only have 1 loss and they lose to Georgia. So now your 2 losses are Tennessee, I think, because it was LSU lost to Tennessee, and then it would have been Georgia if they would have won their other game that they lost.
yeah.
So a 2-loss team, if you're saying a 2-loss team doesn't, then your rankings have to go undefeated, 1-loss teams. It doesn't matter what they play.
There is like no transparency with the college
Yeah.
football committee. That's the issue. The,
Yeah.
the AP top 25, that's just the Associated Press voting. And that's whatever, there's too many people involved in that to get like a legitimate reasoning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the college football committee needs to come out whenever their rankings come out, they need to explain it. And whenever they finalize these are the 4 teams in the playoff, they need to say why.
Yeah.
Because if you put a 2-loss team in, cool, back it up, and you can back up the LSU one, assuming they beat Georgia, assuming they finished with 2 losses, and they ended up beating Georgia in the SEC championship.
Well, here Matthew, would be record, and record matters for Power 5 conferences. If you're undefeated, but you're in Conference USA, and your best team has never cracked the top 50, we're not going to give you a ranking. And then it goes to strength of schedule. Because I would feel bad. What if Arizona State, to start a random team, played the hardest strength of schedule, and they have 2 losses, but they played the top 10 teams, and they went 8-2. Mm-hmm. That should be a team in the college playoff, because even though you have 2 losses, you have played the best 10 teams.
Yeah, no, I get your point. They should come out with something. We'll see, though. It never happens.
Also, they're expanding it to 12 teams.
Yeah, so that'll help a little bit. But we got to dial back. We got to reel it back in here, because this happens every week when we get into the college football conversation.
It's going to be interesting. We'll see if Michigan loses, and then it really depends on
a lot of things.
What happens this weekend. To championship weekend? It will literally come down to that.
Yeah, a lot of things can get shaken up these next 2 weeks, and we'll cover it as it happens.
Yeah.
But we'll go into some NFL talk now. I kind of mentioned it at the top of the show, quarterback controversy. So let's just go out, and should we lead with the Zach Wilson stuff going on?
It has to be. It's the biggest news.
Yeah. So Zach Wilson, 9 for 22, 77 yards, 3 points on offense. Doesn't feel like he let his defense down. Interesting.
Game-losing interception.
Game-losing intercept. What?
It got picked. It was picked.
I thought it was a punt return
for a touchdown.
Oh, yeah, it was a punt. Okay, I don't know who I was talking about.
You just want to put him down even more.
Bobby wasn't feeling good on Sunday, so he really wasn't watching.
Yeah, so Zach Wilson is struggling, to say the least, as an NFL quarterback, and he is arguably the biggest thing holding back the Jets overall as a team. His quarterback play is just terrible. He's not a very good quarterback. He's reckless, and he has pretty much bad accuracy. And so now he's come under fire because, as I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen, he's, after that game against the Patriots where they put up 3 points, he was 9 for 22 for 77 yards. A reporter asked, your defense held the other team to 3 points, and for you to only score 3 points and not really do much on offense, do you feel like the offense let the defense down? And he instantly, without hesitation, no, he didn't. It's like, dude, that's bold. You need to so here's how it all works out. Zach Wilson's been benched for this week's matchup against the Bears. So that's pretty brutal. I get a chuckle out of it because, we all talked about, I mentioned it in our group chat, but Justin Fields in the pre-draft process, his attitude is what's getting picked apart by these scouts or whatever. For whatever reason, Justin Fields was the dude who got picked apart in the pre-draft process. He's not humble. He doesn't have the right attitude. He doesn't have what it takes, blah, blah, blah. There's questions about how serious he is about football. I don't know where all that stuff's coming from, but for whatever reason, all of that's associated with Justin Fields. Zach Wilson gets taken second overall. Big attitude issues, apparently. And he's benched when they're going to face, where he could possibly be facing Justin Fields, assuming Justin Fields' injury holds up. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
One of the worst defenses he's probably played this year. And he's gonna be out now. So now it's like, if you had a chance to prove it, you just go absolutely off on a team.
Now Mike White's gonna take your job.
And for 500 yards.
Justin Fields in the post-game interview said he let the team down.
Justin Fields then in the locker room. That's right. Justin Fields in the locker room says that, I don't know if he said it in an interview, but I know he said it in the locker room.
It was the locker room post, like that little interview thing that they can do in the locker room.
Yeah. Okay. So he said that the defense gave the offense a chance to win the game, and the offense couldn't get it done. And he announced that and apologized to the defense in their huddle after the game in the locker room as well, behind closed doors, no cameras or anything. And allegedly it went a long way with the players. And it's just showing leadership, accountability, and the traits you want in someone who's going to lead your team. But no, Justin Fields' attitude is a big question mark. That's why he fell to 11.
Number one, you're the quarterback. You run the offense. And if you put up 3 points in an NFL game, you let your defense down. Like that.
Outside of the crazy New England Buffalo game last year where Mac Jones really didn't do much. But there was extenuating circumstances, Mac Jones didn't throw the ball 22 times for absolutely no offensive gain. So
yeah, this didn't have 40-mile-an-hour winds.
At the end of the game,
This
if
is a
you're
bad
going
quarterback.
to show up and walk up to Mac Jones and be like, "Do you think the offense let down the defense?" Be like, "Well, no, because I really wasn't a factor. It was windy." This was 100% Zach Wilson's fault. You have Sauce Gardner who's out there who's just tearing it up. You had Brees Hall and James Robinson. Now
You have no excuse, really.
You have Corey Davis and Garrett. Like, your team is decent. Like,
Yeah, they're built to win.
You're not.
You have no excuse to go 9 for 22 and 77 yards. He's also, over his first 20 starts, only has thrown 13 touchdown passes. That's not good.
That's
Which,
bad.
again, if we're comparing Justin Fields to Zach Wilson, Justin Fields has a good run game. Zach Wilson has a good running game this year.
Mhm.
Last year it was kind of hit or miss because there were multiple guys kind of running through. But they have kind of similar offenses last year, not really proven anything. Now I would give the slight edge to the Jets' offense is better all round. So Zach Wilson should be able to produce at the same level Justin Fields is producing.
He's just not a good quarterback. At the end of the day, like, and this was the culmination of it all, because even if you don't agree that you let the team down, if you're a leader and you're serious, you have to own it.
You still say
You can't go, like, great example, Josh Allen in Buffalo, when they lost to the Jets, says it's hard to win in this league when your quarterback plays like shit. For those who don't know, Josh Allen's the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
So he's calling himself out.
That was Josh Allen from the Jaguars.
No, yeah, right. No. So Josh Allen, he calls himself out for playing bad. That's a leader. That's what you want. Justin Fields apologizes to the defense for not being able to get it done on the offensive side of the ball with the last possession. Zach Wilson says he doesn't feel like he let his team down. Doesn't feel like the offense let the defense down. Yes, you did. Whether you want to admit it or not, you actually did. Like, there's no justifying that you didn't, because you put up 3 points. You punted the ball more times than you threw completed passes.
I think it was like 10 times.
10 punts to 9 completions. You let them down in every aspect of the phrase. You failed. And for you to stand up there and act like you didn't, that's not good. And it got you benched. You know, your own coach said the offense was dog shit. Those were his quote. That's his exact quote after the game. And now Mike White's here to take your job. Zach Wilson, you need an attitude adjustment, dude.
Well, and
Like-
you do the same thing of, it wasn't like he was 9 for 13 and he wasn't throwing the ball a lot. He was throwing the ball a lot, and his receivers weren't completely
He's just
covered.
missing guys.
Yeah.
It was the same thing. Go back to Mitch Trubisky. The offense might have been shit under Nagy, but there was open receivers that he was overthrowing by 10 feet.
Yeah.
I don't care who the offensive coordinator is. You can have the best offensive coordinator in the history of football. If you can't throw the ball 10 yards and you're throwing it 10 feet over his head, it's your problem.
Right.
If you have 13 incompletions, I'm not blaming that on the offensive coordinator.
yeah.
If no one's open, they're not going to ask you, do you think the offense, they're like, what do you think's going wrong that your guys aren't on the right timing?
Yeah, no, and it just is like he plays very selfish style football where he wants to just make the big play, and he's just not. Zach Wilson's not very good. Now, I know I said Trey Lance was probably going to be the biggest bust out of the draft class, and part of that was I was kind of hopeful for Zach Wilson because he gave Baker Mayfield like attitude, which is like fine. Baker Mayfield had that attitude to him and everything, but he was also willing to accept account like when he played bad too.
Yeah.
He didn't shy away from criticism, where it's like Zach Wilson is just like wants to absolve himself of any responsibility. And
Yeah, but Baker Mayfield also proved, like, I look at that draft class, Baker Mayfield proved himself in the Big 12. We've talked about it many
yeah,
times.
he won the Heisman. I mean, you got to be good to win the
defense,
Heisman.
defense is optional in the Big 12. But Baker Mayfield put up points.
Right. He
Zach Wilson
produced.
played for BYU, and no one really knew who he was till all of a sudden he jumps up the draft board. It should have been Trevor Lawrence, because you've had success. You beat Nick Saban. You beat Alabama. You were a national champion. Then Justin Fields, because he was at Georgia, you know, could have went with Kirby Smart, but was like, no, I'm a competitor. I want to compete. I don't want to sit and wait for my turn. I want to go play. And goes and plays successfully for Ryan Day, because I don't think Urban Meyer ever coached him.
Yeah, no.
And then you have Trey Lance, who did not prove himself in college.
Did nothing, literally.
Mac Jones, to the same point of, you're on one of the best teams in college. You're not really,
National champion in Mac Jones too.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
but again, I give Trevor Lawrence a little bit more credit because I think Trevor Lawrence made that offense what it was, where Mac Jones stepped into.
Yeah,
being
no, they're
on the
different
best team.
situations for
Yeah.
sure,
Like,
but still.
Tua made his team better. I think Jalen Hurts made his team better, even when he was on Alabama. So if you're looking at Justin Fields versus Mac Jones, give me a quarterback that went to a different school and proved himself and made himself the focal part of the offense.
Right.
That's what you should be looking at, not, oh, I don't think he's going to really care about football. He literally left his one college to go to another college so that he could play more football.
This is so frustrating, man.
Yeah.
None of it makes sense.
It doesn't make sense. And as a starting quarterback in the NFL, you got to take accountability.
You got to take responsibility, even if you don't want to. You have to. It's part of it. Comes with the job. Like you're supposed to be the leader, the face, and everything. And apparently, rumors are that Zach Wilson's losing the locker room with his attitude.
I can see it.
Yep.
I look at even guys, established guys. Aaron Rodgers called out his offense wide receivers during preseason. And then he also called out Christian Watson when he dropped that wide open pass right away. But that was easy to see why you're calling out. You're not taking the blame, because if guys are dropping wide open passes, it's not on you. You can't catch the ball too. But Rodgers they've questioned him, and he said, yeah, he's having a bad year. Top 3 quarterback in the league if he plays well. And he's saying that same thing, Josh Allen. Josh Allen said if your quarterback sucks.
Yeah. If your quarterback plays like crap, it's hard to win. So it just is, you got to take accountability.
Yeah.
And it's really frustrating because you'd like to see the young guys step up and like develop and everything. And it's frustrating for the Jets because you could seemingly be a quarterback away and you wasted it on Zach Wilson.
And really, I don't know.
Tough shit. I'm happy that I feel bad Justin Fields got picked apart in the draft process and everything. But as a Bears fan, I'm happy that it worked out. I'm happy he fell to them. So, whatever, Zach Wilson, you're not going to be playing. Mike White gets the start over you in Chicago, and we'll see what happens with that game. But we'll move on to another game, total blowout. I didn't see it coming. The Vikings-Cowboys game was just a brutal loss, 40-3. CBS cut the game and went to a different game. They went to Steelers-Bengals instead of
mid-game.
In mid-game. I've never seen that happen before.
Me neither.
Are we really shocked? Was the game at noon? No, it wasn't. So the new nightmare is not coming out.
Yeah. Primetime Kirk Cousins' son.
Perk Thuggins.
He was not Perk Thuggins this weekend, that's for sure. But he got sacked 7 times.
Fade the Vikings again because they're not playing at noon. They're playing at 7. They're playing at 7:20 on Thursday.
I will say the Dallas Cowboys defense is legit. They have been all year, and this is a good thing for Bears fans. Bears put up points against that defense.
They did.
They really did. Now this Vikings defense had their way the Cowboys defense had their way with the Vikings O-line. Kirk Cousins isn't a very mobile guy, so if you're getting pressure, he's probably going to get sacked. We saw it on the first drive of the game, the sack fumble from Micah Parsons.
Yep.
It just is one of those things. The Cowboys defense took over that game from the start. And
it's Danny Quinn.
Yeah, Dan Quinn got fired by the Falcons. Everyone forgets he took him to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he did.
And is just a strange meltdown away from winning the Super Bowl.
It's a backwards hat, man.
It's the backwards hat. It was the Kyle Shanahan effect.
It's your Kyle Shanahan of, hey, let's keep throwing the ball when we're up 25 points. No, how about we run the damn ball?
Yeah, they just, oh my gosh, frustrating Super Bowl. But that's not the point. The point is that Dan Quinn is good as a defensive coordinator.
And that backwards cap, he just sparked the light in him, man. He's just a good play caller.
Dan Quinn knows what he's doing. He was very solid for the Falcons, whether they want to admit it or not. They never put top talent on that defense. He's a defensive coach, and they never put a top talent out there for
that
him.
Team was also always trash.
Yeah, they were offense only.
That's why Matt Ryan's tired and Julio Jones is tired, because they got the whole defense on their shoulders.
Yeah, so
just carrying them.
That defense though in Dallas is legit.
Well, this game brings up the point that I was making in my hotspot is everyone's calling the Vikings pretenders now. They have 2 losses on the season to the Eagles and the Cowboys. And everyone's calling the Eagles pretenders. So which means who's the best team in that division? The Cowboys.
Yeah. So I get what you're saying.
Why do the Vikings get so much shit? Because they lost to 2 good teams.
Yeah, I get frustrated. Like I said, I'm a Kirk Cousins fan. I like to root for the Vikings as well secretly. Like I said, when the Bears aren't doing well, I root for the Vikings. They're my second team that I like to go to in the NFC. And it's frustrating because come on, to be 8-2, you have to be good. You don't make it to 8-2 and you're a bad team. So you had 1 loss to the Eagles, who many people believe it's mixed. There's a mixed bag. You either have people the Eagles are the best team in the league or the Eagles are pretenders. Those are your 2 spectrums right there.
Yeah.
So it's so they lost to the Eagles, who are arguably the best team in the league. And then they just lost to the Dallas Cowboys, who have the best defensive player in the league in Micah Parsons. I'll say it. He's the best defensive player in the NFL right now.
And if you call the Eagles pretenders, then you're one of the better teams in the best division of football right now.
Yeah, so it's just like the Vikings 2 losses. Yes, this 40-3 embarrassing loss. They didn't look good against the Eagles either. But those are your 2 losses to 2 very good teams. I still believe the Vikings are a legitimate threat in the NFC. I'm not losing faith in Perk Thuggins. He will be back. Don't worry. You know,
get ready for research into Dalvin Cook in this next part of the season.
Yeah, it just
I think
these fluky losses happen.
The Cowboys and Eagles both won that game because they keyed in on Dalvin Cook. Really has not been a factor for most of this game. He's been getting more passes out of the backfield, which if you rush the quarterback fast enough, that can't happen. We watched Justin Fields get rushed very quickly, and a lot of balls were hitting people in the face because he was rushed on his pass. It's not as accurate. If you just hand the ball to Dalvin Cook, he's going to get you yards.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what they got to get Dalvin Cook. The run game is huge for any team. But we mentioned the Eagles. Pretenders or not pretenders, they squeaked out a win against the Colts. I think the Eagles are still very legitimate in the NFC, but they're not as complete as I feel like everyone else thought they were. The most complete team in the NFL, or maybe not even the most complete team, but the biggest threat in the NFL is the Chiefs. It just is what it is.
Yeah, it is.
The Eagles aren't the Chiefs. They're very good, but they have weaknesses that teams like the Colts are able to try and exploit. And so there's areas where the Eagles need to get better.
They don't have a good run defense, and I don't think they ever have. And I think people have just been like, oh, but they're still winning. But usually their offense just takes off, and you're not going to run the ball.
If you could slow down their offense, I mean, look at what the Commanders did it exactly. Keep the offense off the field. The defense is bendable. It bends. I mean, we saw it. The Commanders went however many, like 17 for 22 on 3rd down in a game. They just ran the ball.
They did.
And the Eagles defense couldn't get off the field. That's your blueprint. Keep their offense off the field. Keep their defense on the field. Their defense isn't good enough to stand up for an entire game. They will bend. They'll get tired. And then you just control the clock at that point.
Yeah.
And the Eagles offense is very good and has quick scoring ability, but they're not the Chiefs. And you know what? I don't know how else to say it. We all thought that maybe the Chiefs were going to fall off without Tyreek Hill, and they're just not. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, and do not give him the ball with time left on the clock.
You can't give him the ball with time left. He'll break your heart every time.
It really was, man. That was a hard fought
game. I
feel
feel bad for the Chargers, man.
When the Eagles are sitting on the side, when their offense is sitting on the sideline for a while, you can kind of see like AJ Brown, you need a couple plays to get going. The Chiefs doesn't matter; they could be off the field for 8 minutes, and Patrick Mahomes just comes out
and they're there, done.
Throws dots. Juju Smith-Schuster, nowhere near the same level as Tyreek Hill, but he fills the slot.
He fills the role,
guy,
dude.
Speedy guy who can catch the ball.
And man,
somebody got Travis Kelce out there.
Chargers are so good at just losing close games. They're just the kings of it.
I don't think they win one possession games ever, man.
Yeah, and
I feel bad.
Yeah, and
Chargers gonna Chargers, man. Chargers is the Chargers.
It really is. I mean, it did suck. Mike Williams went out, didn't come back in the rest of the game. He had 1 catch for 15 yards, and that was the first time. Well, he didn't have Gerard Everett, but it's the first. Yeah, Gerald. My bad. But it was the first time that Keenan Allen and Mike Williams have been both on the field.
That was something I wanted to point out. It's everyone's been roasting Justin Herbert because, he's not getting it done in the win column. But it's first off, let's look at what Justin Herbert has done with his production. And Keenan Allen seems to get injured every year. This past weekend, I got a hiccup or a burp brewing. Sorry. This past weekend was the first time Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are on the field together at the same time, but no Gerald Everett, who is a huge part of that offense. And then they're there. Mike Williams leaves the game, but it's you could see that if those guys, if the talent that they have can stay on the field together, I really do believe the Chargers could be the best team in the AFC West if those guys could stay on the field.
Yeah.
And he's only in year 3.
Yeah, he's only in year 3.
If you look at, I think, again, Mahomes is an anomaly. Mahomes has just been a stud ever since, after his first half year with Alex Smith wasn't the greatest, but then after that, it's you've been so good. But year 3, Josh Allen, year 3, was finally when he
broke out.
And he got Stephon Diggs at the same time. And Justin Herbert starts, we talked about it, has a great tight end with Johnny Smith?
Hunter Henry.
Hunter Henry. And no, I thought they had 2 tight ends, though.
No, they just
No,
had
it's
Hunter
Hunter
Henry. Yeah.
So he has Hunter Henry. He loses Hunter Henry for year 2. I don't really think they replaced him well enough.
Gerald Everett is very solid.
now,
I'm a
now
fan of
they
Gerald
have.
Everett.
I thought Gerald Everett's first year was his year with the Chargers.
Oh, 2 years.
No, I thought last
this
year
is
was
2
his
years?
first year. Yeah,
Yeah.
they have a good thing
You
going
build that
there.
chemistry. And now Gerald Everett's his guy, but he's out this year or this game. And Keenan Allen, and you need the whole team together. I think any quarterback struggles with, even Mahomes. We just talked about. I think if Kelsey gets hurt, he's not going to have a solid game if he's missing pieces. And
Yeah, it's hard when your big pieces that are there to help you aren't there, and now you have to make it work on your own. And for all intents and purposes, you kind of are. Those guys, without those guys, Justin Herbert might as well be thrown to the Bears.
That's true.
And actually, arguably, the Bears have more talent when they don't have Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and Gerald Everett in the game. When those 3 guys are not playing,
yeah.
I'll take the Bears receiving options over whatever's there.
And your run game's not as stout, so most defenses are
Yeah,
focusing.
Austin
in on the
Eckler's
passing
solid,
game.
but he's not the same run style or anything. But what pisses me off is the comparisons happening right now are between Justin Herbert and Tua. Right? It's like, oh, well, Tua's the better quarterback now. It's like, okay, let's shut the hell up for a second. Let's slow down.
Yeah,
Tua's finally looking like a good
And you have
quarterback.
the best receiving core in
Yeah,
football.
you have the 2 fastest players in the league as your wide receivers. You've got a head coach that's catered the offense to your strengths.
You have a stud tight
And
end.
this is the first year you're looking good as a quarterback. And we're really about to goes back to Nick's hotspot, which is really, really resonating with this whole episode. But the NFL overreactions. So we're just going to ignore the fact that Justin Herbert has been really, really good as a quarterback in the NFL for all of his 3 seasons. We're going to just ignore that because Tua finally is winning games. Isn't that crazy? It's mind-boggling to me. Tua has his first good year, and he's the better quarterback between him and Justin Herbert because they're winning. Tua's on the better team.
Yeah.
You don't get those 2 guys that he has to throw to are healthy. They're on the field together all the time. I'm not taking it away from Tua.
No.
But if you put Justin Herbert in that offense with those guys, I don't think the Dolphins lose a game.
This may be a bold claim, but I think if you put all 4 of these quarterbacks that I'm about to mention on the exact same team with the exact same weapons, always healthy, I think Justin Herbert is closer to Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen than Tua is to Justin Herbert.
Yes.
I think there's a
I'll give you that. I'm
there's still a
100%
gap,
there.
But there is a much bigger gap between Tua up to Justin
Oh, yeah.
Herbert.
Plus, Herbert, Allen, and Mahomes, arguably the 3 strongest arms in football right now.
Yep.
Everyone forgets, but Justin Herbert's got a cannon.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
his combine results were his comparison was Josh Allen because he could sling it. Like those 3 guys are 3 strongest arms. They're all, I think Mahomes is the least mobile of those 3, but Herbert's secretly very mobile. He's a dual threat quarterback when he needs to be.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, Justin Herbert's on the Chargers. This is what the Chargers do. They come up short all the time. And it sucks because their big defensive acquisition, J.C. Jackson, is injured.
Yeah.
It's just like, that sucks. That hurts your defense a lot.
They have a ton of injuries on that.
Yeah, they're just not healthy. And
Like,
really, how many quarterbacks get the benefit of the doubt? Like, here's a great example. Pat Mahomes in that Super Bowl when half his O-line wasn't starting. We all gave him the benefit of the doubt. Oh, your O-line's not healthy. You're missing pieces that are there to help you be better. How come we're not giving the same treatment to other guys? Like, Justin Herbert has put up incredible numbers every season. To me, that production has earned you the benefit of the doubt when all of your offensive pieces are injured. You get to say, look who he's throwing to. He's got no one healthy to work with.
Yeah.
Like, you get that when you've been good.
That was last
And he's
year
been
with Joe
good.
Burrow. Joe Burrow got so much extra, I think, because his offensive line sucked. And Justin Herbert gets nothing.
Yeah.
It's like, no, he should still be the
That's what's so
peak-
frustrating.
he should
It's
still be
like,
peak Justin
I
Herbert.
get so mad. It's the one dude. Oh, I forget his name, but he's on ESPN. He's more of the basketball guy, Nick something. He's got the long black hair. Nick, you might know him better than I would.
Long black. I don't watch ESPN that much because they start.
Oh my gosh, it's
If you
gonna
watch
piss-
Sports Center. It's just a bunch of again, it's reactions. It's no longer like let's watch the game and then comment on what happened.
yeah.
oh, the score was 17-16. We're not going to show you anything that happened, but we're going to talk about how much the Eagles are terrible.
It's Nick Wright's his name, by the way. Nick Wright.
Yeah, I don't like him.
He pisses me off. He's the dude who's been peddling the Herbert's not as good as Tua thing right now. And actually, Big Cat and PFT have been doing it on Part of My Take, and that's been pissing me off too. I'm shouting them out. Get better takes, guys. Come on. Be better.
But I mean, not to knock Tua, it's good that like this was his prove it year. It's good that he's proven it. But
this isn't a negative thing against Tua. But if I had to pick who I want as my franchise quarterback, I am taking Justin Herbert.
Zach Wilson. Oh, sorry.
I'm taking Justin Herbert every day of the week and twice on Sundays if it's between him and Tua. I'm taking Justin Herbert over Joe Burrow.
Oh, yeah, I am too.
That's a tough one for me.
No, it's not. Like, I love Joe Burrow, and it's not a knock on him. But I'm talking about
Are you serious right now? Joe Mixon better than Eckler right now at this time. Then you have Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins.
It's not.
And they're all been healthy.
It's not their performance. It's just like I don't know. Joe Burrow like has that fire in him, man. Like
no, it's nothing against Joe Burrow.
Again, just saying that you take someone over them doesn't mean the other person's shit.
Yeah, I'm not saying Joe Burrow's crap. I'm just saying I believe Justin Herbert is a better quarterback than Joe Burrow. He's got better physical traits than him. I'm going to say that mentally they're very similar because Justin Herbert doesn't look bad. He doesn't make bad throws. He's smart. He's not reckless with the football. Justin Herbert is a top 6, top 5 quarterback in the NFL. I'll die on that hill. I do not care. But I'm taking him over Joe Burrow. He was my cue. I loved Joe Burrow. And I remember I told you if the Bears were going to go all in that draft and trade everything to get Joe Burrow, I was going to be fine with it.
Nope.
But Justin Herbert, to me, is the more physically talented quarterback.
What's both of your guys' top 5 quarterbacks right now this year?
Dude, Pat Mahomes.
Well,
We'd go.
You have to put Pat Mahomes.
We can just go one at a time. So Pat Mahomes, you're Pat Mahomes too, Bobby?
Yeah.
I'm Pat Mahomes for number 1.
Yeah, you had to go.
Then I'm going to probably go number 2. I'm going to give it to Josh Allen still.
Yeah.
I think so.
And
then this is where it gets difficult for me. Because it's based on like I would want to give it to Herbert, but he hasn't had a healthy team.
You would have to
because I think my 5 are those 2, and then I think Jalen Hurts.
I can't get behind
Justin Herbert and Tua and then Kirk Cousins. Those 4 I can just kind of mix.
I like having Perk up there at number 6. I'm in.
And not because like if I'm building a team, I'm not putting Kirk in my top 5.
If it's based strictly on this year, I'm going to go Mahomes, Allen. Honestly, yeah, I could see you Jalen Hurts based on this season. Yes, then I'm going Herbert, and then I'm going Tua. That's just to me. Those have been your most impressive quarterbacks this season.
I think I would have to go Mahomes, Allen. I think you got to put Burrow up there. Burrow's been
season,
dude. He's been having a pretty good season.
I can't.
You got to put Burrow in there. He's been having a good season. And then I would go Tua and Jalen Hurts.
Wow. Yeah. See, I'm taking Herbert over Burrow or Tua. If I have to start my franchise, I'm taking Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
I think just athletically, physically, he has the highest ceiling out of all 3 of those guys. And we've already seen what his floor is. His floor is better than those other 2 guys' floors. So it's just, I don't like the Justin Herbert disrespect because for whatever reason, he's the guy they don't give him the benefit of the doubt when it comes to injuries and stuff on his team. He's supposed to overcome all of that stuff because that's what franchise quarterbacks do. But if someone else can't overcome it, like Tua, now we're going back on how Tua, he never had anything. Okay, great. Justin Herbert's weapons have all been injured this year. Joe Burrow, he doesn't have the offensive line. Okay, that's great. Justin Herbert's entire offense has been injured this year. His number 1 tackle, Rashawn Slater, out for the season. How come these other guys get the excuse Justin Herbert doesn't? That's my rant. It aggravates me. I'm getting off track here, so we're going to dial it back.
Fair enough. We're not disrespecting.
We'll go from one Justin to another Justin. We'll go into the Bears now. Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Okay. You gave me a look like you didn't get what I was doing.
No, I understood that.
Justin Turner?
Whoa. No, but so we'll talk Bears. So Bears drop another game to the Falcons. Not a complete shocker, but I definitely thought they could win that game.
Yeah, I thought.
These are the game. Texans, you got to beat the Texans. You got to beat the Falcons.
Yeah.
You beat the Lions.
I will say Falcons are the number one rushing defense in the NFL this year. So that's, top running offense versus top rushing defense. It was bound to someone had to give.
Sparks were going to fly.
Yeah. So we watched the Bears lose another tough one. And while it's cool because now they're at the 3rd overall pick projected based on their current standings and everything, that's great. But at the same time, it's time to start seeing development and winning and being like, if you have a lead, it's one thing to lose and you never had the lead, but when you go up multiple scores, you have to close those games out. Because that's just as important as winning those games. That's development right there. Being able to close them out is development. That's just as important.
I was perfectly fine with that because they fought back to get into that game.
Exactly. Yeah. Losing to the Cowboys, fought back until that game came off the rails.
Yeah.
But the loss to the Lions and then this one to the Falcons, those are 2 tough ones to swallow because you had two possession leads and you lost. And you need to close those.
Your teams are arguably very similar.
Yes.
Like when they got blown up by the Packers, it's like I expect the Packers aren't as good as they should have been. But it's like that's a better team, and then you made adjustments going into the next week. This one hurts of like, yeah, I would love to get a better draft pick, but they're still relying so much on Fields running, and I mean like on a 1st and 10, don't do a quarterback design run.
Yeah.
Give it to Montgomery, give it to Herbert's out, so give it to Ebner, or do a play where it's like, okay, we're gonna do a deep ball, but Fields take it for 5-6 yards, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I don't want just a quarterback sweep. I'm like, you can do that on 3rd and 3 when we get to that position. Like,
and the tough part now is because of all of that. So Justin Fields suffers a shoulder injury. We don't know exactly what it was. Ian Rappaport said it was a dislocated shoulder. Then the Bears said it wasn't a dislocated shoulder.
So
we don't know if
he came down hard on that.
Yeah,
shoulder.
we don't know if he's starting on Sunday, but this was the risk you run with the amount of running that they do with him. And I'm cool with using his legs within reason.
Yeah,
right. Like the big thing is what I always liked about Justin Fields. Other Justin. Sorry. What I liked about Fields is that when he improvises and runs, it's always his last resort is to tuck and run.
Yeah.
But it's the designed runs. When you use those too frequently, you're risking injury.
Yeah.
And I'm already getting pissed because Justin Fields is taking late hits and nothing ever gets called. And that pisses me off.
He took a late hit in the game.
Yeah, right, he was already sacked. And then...
No, I was talking about right after he got tackled on the sideline, the next play wasn't a designed run. Or no, it was. And he slid down.
And then he got hit.
And it was late. I mean, it was very, very close to not being a late hit, but it still was late. And
yeah,
they're throwing flags on that.
They let him, he gets hit late all the time. And I'm not going to get into that, though. That is what it is. It's just frustrating to watch. But these are the things that happen when you design runs for your quarterback this much. Now he's injured. We don't know if he's going to play this Sunday. But this is where you're at now if you're the Bears, right? So you have the 3rd overall pick. I don't care if you win another game. What you need to start doing is you have to start using your passing game more. Now that your season's officially over, you're not making the playoffs at 3-8.
Yeah.
The odds of you rattling off 6 straight wins to finish 9-8 isn't happening. It's just not.
Even if you do, Vikings win 2 games and they're at 10 and
it's just not happening.
10-7, even if they lose the rest.
You're not winning the division. You're not making the wild card. You don't hold a tiebreaker over pretty much anyone. So here it is. Now what you have to do, you have to just use your passing game. It's time to now see what you have as a pocket passer in Justin Fields. It's time to develop that part because you've been saving him from it. Partially because you never have time in the pocket if you're Justin Fields, but also it's like that's a huge part of the game. You got to be. They said it in the game on Sunday against the Falcons. At some point, Justin Fields is going to need to win you a game with his throwing ability. There it was, and you called 2 designed runs. Let's let him get the mistakes that he's inevitably going to make in the pocket out of the way. We've seen the arm talent. We know he can throw. Let's work on the pocket presence. Let's work on pocket passing. So then Justin Fields is a legitimate dual threat. Not just a dual threat from when he throws on the run, but like if you have to contain him, he can beat you that way. Yep. So now you have to pick. Do you want him to beat you with his arm or with his legs?
That was Lamar Jackson, his first successful year. It was all legs and it was pass. Pass was the 3rd option. It was quarterback run, then running back run, then pass.
Yeah.
They ran up into Bill Belichick in the playoffs, and Bill Belichick was like, I know how to stop that. I'm going to spy him consistently.
Right. And then
next year, he becomes a pocket passer.
MVP.
And now people are flustered because it's like, well, I can't spy him because he's going to pick me apart in the middle with Mark Andrews. If I don't spy him, he's going to break every single one of my guys' ankles, and he's going to run for
that's
80
the
yards.
thing. And then Lamar Jackson wins MVP. So that's your blueprint, right? Your Lamar Jackson is what you're looking at. A dude who can run very well. We know Justin Fields has the running ability.
And Justin Fields, I think, has a better arm than
Yeah, no, I think
Lamar
Justin
Jackson.
Fields could be a better passer than Lamar Jackson. But there's your road right there. That's what you want to try and mirror.
Also, if he is injured at all, you rest him.
Yeah.
You do not play him at all. You put Trevor Siemian out there, let him just get absolutely destroyed, and you let Fields rest. All right.
Yeah,
I do
that's the
not
other
want
thing.
him.
If
he's
this
not
injury is
healthy-
legit, he does not play.
yeah.
We've seen enough to know that Justin Fields is could be a very good quarterback.
Yeah.
Let him recover. If it's 2 weeks, fine. And then ball out the last 4 weeks. Let just open up the passing game. See what you've got. Get Claypool involved and just work on the passing offense.
Yeah, that's my bigger thing. It's like, I know Fields' arm talent's there. I saw it at Ohio State. I saw it during his combine. He throws dot passes 40 yards down the field. He can do it.
Oh, that throw to David Montgomery when he directed him to go downfield,
that was
beautiful.
absolutely
was.
beautiful.
Notice Mahomes made a very similar throw, and it's all over social media.
Yeah.
Justin Fields did it, and I argue Justin Fields' throw looked nicer, and no one even knows about it.
And I want to say that.
But that's bad. That's Mahomes is Mahomes. It's obviously
that last pass though, I want to say I don't think he was thrown to Montgomery.
He said he was.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, he said in his interview.
It looked like he was
in his
throwing
post game.
to-
He said he was throwing it for Montgomery.
Oh,
So he threw it high, but also he was hurt and he jumped.
He
So-
threw.
Yeah.
He jumped and threw it and was injured. He put too much mustard on. He put too much sauce on that
But
pig.
that's
It
my-
happens.
You know your running game solid as the Bears. You know Fields can turn into your franchise quarterback. Over the past 4 weeks, Cole Kmet is your tight end going forward. He is a stud.
I'm loving Cole Kmet, and
But
I'm loving it.
Find out if Darnell Mooney can be your slot guy. Find out what you have in Chase Claypool. Because I'll be honest, if you have a good receiver in Claypool, you have a good receiver in Mooney, and say N'Keal Harry or whoever is going to be your third
Byron
guy.
Pringle, apparently.
no, I do not.
I
I
don't
want.
want it to be
I do
Byron
not want
Pringle.
to see him in the game.
But
He
if
sucks.
you can, if you can establish a solid enough core with those guys, then go look at your draft. You're the third overall pick. It's offensive or defensive line. That's
Will
what you're-
Anderson.
that's what
Will
you're
Anderson
going for.
Jr.
Yes,
I'm all in on
And-
Will Anderson Jr.
I am too.
Let's say they win a couple games, they end up being like the 6th or 7th pick. If defensive and offensive line, all you have is a good wide receiver, then possibly think about taking it or moving down if you think you have a good enough core. But if Justin Fields is going to be run first and all you know is you have a solid in Cole Kmet and you don't know what you have in the wide receiver, you're going to want to take a wide receiver right away.
Yeah.
See what you have before you go and you have
Right.
so
And
much
the-
cap
speak-
space. You have
Building off
so
of that.
much.
Yeah,
draft
they've got
picks.
so much.
Know what you have before you go, oh, let's go get Odell Beckham Jr. Actually, we really didn't need that. We could have used our money different and got an offensive
Yeah.
lineman.
Building off of that, it's time for Alex Leatherwood to play.
It is like
Put him it's time. Like, you picked up his contract. You're eating $17 million, or maybe not 17 million, but you're eating like 13, 14 million dollars because you picked him up when he got waived and he hasn't played. I want to see what he is as an offensive lineman for the Bears. Whether you want to use him at tackle, which that's not his natural position. He's more of a guard, but play him at tackle, see what you've got. Maybe Alex Leatherwood ends up being a very solid tackle and you don't have to go and try and entice another free agent. You know, now it's like that's filled. We re-sign him to a contract that he'll take because we gave him a chance when no other teams were willing to, and you can get him cheaper. And then you can spend that on the other tackle position. So now instead of having to get addressed two offensive line positions, it's just one. And you're all, to me, in the draft, their first pick, it's going to be defense. They're not taking a wide receiver. They're not taking an O lineman. I really believe if they stay in the top 5, they're taking Will Anderson.
well, yeah, because like
it's gonna
like,
happen.
most of the top picks are gonna be because the Lions, the Texans, and
The Lions are a pick behind the Bears.
oh yeah, they are. So I think it's who's number 1?
I think it's
It's
Texans,
Texans.
one. And then is it
Panthers.
Panthers, yeah,
Panthers.
and they're both probably going QB because Baker Mayfield ain't it.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's injured, but
And it's just like so you're gonna have to get where you're sitting. It's just best to go defense. Like
and like the same thing, like put Leatherwood in, put some of these guys in positions that you want to see them in. And then you can avoid they're tanking for a better pick. No, we want to see what we have before we go sign an offensive lineman and we're like, oh, actually in OTAs, Alex Leatherwood's actually going to be a stud for us. oh, we just wasted our 3rd overall pick on offensive line guy that we already have with NFL experience. So it's like, well, that was a stupid move.
Yeah.
Put Byron Pringle. I know you don't like Byron Pringle, but put him out there. Throw the ball to him. If he's not it, then you found out he's not it instead of just having him on your roster.
He's not it. I already know.
I could tell you already. He ain't it. He can't pass or pass block for shit.
He can't catch. He can't do anything. I don't want Byron Pringle on the
Give
field.
me Daz Newsome. I want him back.
Right. Give me Daz Newsome. No, it's just so yeah, we got the Texans, Panthers, Bears, Raiders, Seahawks acquired from the Broncos. That's your top 5 picks.
God,
Seahawks making
man.
out like bandits.
Where are the
in that.
Browns right now?
Browns. The Browns are at number. Where are they?
They're in the teens for sure.
Because it's gonna be very interesting. Like if they
Can't
were in the
find 'em.
top 10.
I don't think the Browns. Do the Browns have a pick?
Oh no, they traded.
Oh,
it
no,
to-
yeah,
Houston. They're at 8.
Texans- yeah, Houston.
Texans have it. Texans have it at 8.
No, that never mind. Because I was gonna say it'd be really weird to like because Deshaun Watson's coming back next week.
Yeah.
But it's like if you're in the top 10, you don't need a quarterback. So really, you don't need to stay there. And Deshaun Watson should make your team better. So like he would really float your pick. Like it would really change a lot.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
normally you can't add that big of a piece after the trade deadline to change your.
Yeah,
Change
I really want to see if the Bears stay in the top 5. I want them to take Will Anderson Jr.
I do too.
I would be so happy with that.
Is
They're going
he-
to go defense. I'm
Is he
convinced
Georgia?
of it.
Georgia?
No, Alabama.
Alabama.
I'm convinced they're going defense, and if they don't, then they're trading that pick because there's some quarterback prospects that teams are going to reach at, and they might trade it and get a lot in return. Which I could also live with that as long as you have properly addressed everything else prior to because free agency is before the draft.
Yeah.
So if you haven't properly addressed everything in free agency, then I'm going to be a little worried. But I just want Will Anderson Jr. on the Bears. That's all I want.
That would be a great
Which
pick.
again, another reason to put Leatherwood in because now instead of trying to trade down your pick to a 1st-round pick, if you already have a pretty solid offensive line that can fill that gap, don't trade down to get more capital or more players and then just pick a 2nd-round pick. You don't need that top pick if you can get enough in return for it. And you
I
know
want
what you
Will
have.
Anderson Jr.
Well, yeah.
I don't want them to trade that pick.
Yeah.
I want
Oh, no,
Will
if
Anderson
they have
Jr.
Will Anderson Jr., you take him because you need that's
That's
a
what
key that's a key spot.
I want it so bad.
Also, just a fun fact for Andrew: Aiden Hutchinson has more picks than Sauce Gardner.
Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson. is having a
That's
good year.
crazy.
He's having a good year. Jadeveon Clowney had a good rookie year too. But
I
let's.
I didn't think he should have won the Heisman. I made those jokes all the time.
He should have never qualified.
But I mean,
I thought
Pisses me
he was
off.
going to have a good year because it's nice when you don't really have to move from college town to your
That's true.
home stadium. You're kind of living in that. And
I just thought that was a fun fact.
No, it's
Just
I'll
one
give
more
him
pick,
credit.
but-
He's having a very good year. I'm not
Andrew
taking
did
anything
call
away
that
from him.
Jadeveon Clowney was his
That's what I comped him at. Jadeveon
comp, which
Clowney.
is a good comp. Jadeveon
That's
Clowney's
not a
stud.
Jadeveon Clowney's not a bust by any means. He
But-
just didn't have the same impact he wanted, but he's still solid.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
didn't turn into the next JJ Watt like people were saying.
Yes.
Everyone thought you were 2 JJ Watts on that team.
That's
Yeah,
true.
it just didn't work out. But Nick, it's time. Hit us with your question of the week.
I have 2 this week
Oh,
because
boy.
of it being Thanksgiving. Question 1 is a Thanksgiving question, then question
Okay.
2 is a sports kind of related question. Question 1, most underrated food at Thanksgiving, in your guys' opinion.
Oh well, I'm gonna say it. Broccoli and cheese, man. My mom makes this casserole. There's
Mel's
Ritz-
making a broccoli and cheese casserole.
Dude, it's so good. Make sure she puts Ritz crackers on it. Like
Okay,
dude,
we'll
it's
let her
good.
know.
Yeah, let her know.
We'll head over there.
Yeah.
We'll tell her. Best or most underrated?
Yeah.
I feel like I know more people that don't like sweet potatoes.
I like.
I love
potatoes,
sweet.
Yeah.
Because of the people that I know, like my family, no one eats sweet potatoes. Like every time someone makes it, I'm the
Sweet
only,
casserole or just sweet potatoes? Just
any form of them. They don't eat them. I'm like the only one who ever touches them. And then same
Family's
thing for when we
missing
go
out.
to Mel's. Her mom makes a ton of sweet potatoes, and her and Mel's dad, or me and Mel's dad, are the only 2 people who eat them. So I'm gonna go based on just my experiences. Sweet potatoes are super underrated by all the people that I celebrate Thanksgiving with.
my dad has been deemed the sweet potato casserole guy.
Mhm.
So no matter where we go, that's the dish that people.
I
tell him to
love
bring.
sweet potatoes,
And he does
casserole
the-
or just
He
mashed. I
puts
love
the
them.
It is good.
mushrooms, marshmallows inside the sweet potatoes and ground them up, and then puts a layer on top and browns them. So it's
Oh,
absolutely
Ooh,
delicious.
that does sound pretty.
I'm
good.
gonna go with a very controversial one because this needs to be cooked right. You can't just have someone principle recipe. You have to cook it right, and it's green bean casserole.
I knew you were gonna say that.
But
I'm not a fan of green beans, man.
but again,
It's all right.
it's good. But like,
okay.
have you ever gone somewhere and like someone makes it and it's like it's their own recipe? They use like special things, and it's amazing. Because I used to have green bean casserole, and I used to hate it. And all of a sudden, my aunt made it one year, and she put like
That's really, it just depends who makes it. Sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's just.
Yeah, I'm not the
Yeah.
biggest fan of green beans in general. So,
So,
I mean,
yeah.
I usually eat a little bit of it just because it's Thanksgiving. I kind of want to just eat a bunch of food.
what are you
so
guys feeling like on deviled eggs? I feel like
I
that's
don't like them at
also-
all.
I don't. I'm not
I'm
a big
fan.
deviled
They're
egg.
gross to me.
Yeah.
Not a big yolk guy.
It's
I mean, like
They're good.
then it's like it's mixed with like mayo and stuff too. It's just not good. to me.
I just don't like I'll eat scrambled eggs. I don't like
Yeah, I really
fried
only eat my
eggs.
eggs if they're scrambled or sunny side up.
Yeah.
I'm cool with runny yolk. I don't like the hard boiled thing. It's gross to me. It's
I
slimy.
don't know.
It's
Deviled
meh.
eggs have always been a big thing in my family too. Like
they're
put some
not big in
pickles and
my
jalapenos
family.
In there, and like
I can't.
brine.
So never mind. So is that your second question? The deviled eggs?
No, my second
Okay.
question is kind of related to Taylor Heineke because me and Andrew were talking about this because they beat the Texans this week, and we're like, oh, there's gonna be some pretty sick Jordans with the Texans. So you can pick any sport team colors. What will be the coolest pair of shoes on a colorway with that, and then what would be the absolute worst that you were like?
All right. Ugliest pair of shoes that you could get would be Packers colors. That green and yellow just does not work. It's ugly looking. So that
No,
was
you can't take anyone else's. So Andrew took Packers, so you can't use.
Oh, okay.
Packers.
I would have to go Steelers.
Black and
Like,
yellow.
yeah.
interesting. It's so the yellow seems to be the color that. So now what I think.
And
Would,
now, I'm not talking uniform wise, because like I'm gonna call one out. I love their uniforms. Phoenix Suns love the uniform, but if I had shoes that were purple and orange, well, that clashes too much. I don't
yeah,
like it.
what I
Fair
think
enough.
would be really cool shoes. I am going to go with the Chargers. I love the Chargers.
Remember, you
powder
can
blue.
pick any sport. Doesn't have to be.
Doesn't matter. Well, yeah, I'm still going.
Yeah, but I just,
Well, actually, no. Actually, then I would go with the Bulls because I really like the Bulls colors.
That dark
red,
dark
black.
red. And
Yeah.
black.
yeah, that's a good one. Man, this is a tough one.
Mine's the Mariners. I
That's solid. That's safe,
the-
too, 'cause you
the
get to, like, that
aqua-
gray
the aqua
slash,
blue,
like-
the silver that they have,
Yeah.
and then the teal.
Yeah.
Like those three colors together, just like if I had those three colors instead of these, I like these shoes, but you know,
Are we all Adidas out right now?
Yeah, we are. We
Three
all
stripes,
we all
baby?
yeah.
I'm repping it twice.
You really are. Man, this is a tough one. I'm not gonna lie, I really like the Falcons uniform. The
Falcons are
red-
cool-
Yeah,
yeah,
the
cool
red
colors.
color with
Yeah,
where
they got a
reeds
good
in the
colorway.
black. I like it.
I was thinking about
colorway.
this on my way over, because like that's red and black. The Heat are technically red and black, but it's a different red.
Yeah, it's like
I
a
think
maroon.
Atlanta and Chicago have very similar reds that they use. It's different.
I think the Bulls is a little deeper,
Yeah,
just a little bit.
Yeah.
I was
I
trying to see.
definitely
If,
thought there was a Bulls thing over here.
I was,
I was like,
yeah, that's what I was looking for, but we don't.
We
got
ain't
one
got
over
no
here. That
Bulls
is what it
things,
is.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm sticking by those ones. But that's a good place to wrap it up. So as always, guys, thank you for listening. We hope you enjoy yours. Oh, there you go. We got the
Yeah, we
Bulls.
got-
This is a vintage, so it's like faded.
Ah, it's
So
faded. Okay.
yeah.
But either way, thanks for listening, guys. We hope you enjoy your Thanksgiving holiday and weekend. Stay tuned. Look around. We're going to be posting some our Knicks picks video coming up. So if you want to make some bets on Thanksgiving football games and everything, stay tuned.
True.
But
And it will be up tonight.
it will be up tonight.
Oh,
Look at that.
wow.
We're-
That's a
Put the
guarantee.
timeline.
It will be up before the Thursday night game. So
Damn,
look out,
volunteer.
guys. We will post it to our Twitter as well. Thanks for listening. Have a great holiday, and we will talk to you guys next week.
See ya.
See ya.